And I am not presenting this, but Charlie is. Is Charlie around? Oh, here we go.
Okay, that was fast. Charlie Levinson, PSU, and other stuff. You can look it up. There's the bit.ly. Okay, I'm going to talk about my Jewish grandmother, the lessons she taught me. There she is, Mrs. Charles Samuel Levinson. She was born in the old country at the turn of the last century, came to Brookline, Massachusetts, and raised my father and had a lot of influence on me. Gave me a lot of lessons that were very important. The golden rule she taught me, lesson number 1 was, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. For developers, what that really means is develop user experiences that you would want to experience, not things you wouldn't want to experience. Sorry, you caught me real fast. Okay, so the good news is it means as a developer, you can be your own test bed. You can work with your program. If it doesn't work for you, if it's too confusing for you, then it's definitely going to be too confusing for your customers, your users, those end users. Now, the inverse of that is not necessarily true. If it works for you, who know your product, your service, and everything about your software, that doesn't mean it's going to work for every user. Grandma's lesson number 2 was, not everybody's as smart as you. So remember that. You can test one way, but not necessarily the other. Grandma's lesson number 3, oh, I'm sorry, there's a slide skipped. You lost one of my slides. Anyway, accessibility. She said, be kind to the handicapped. That was her term at the time. Accessibility matters. We would call them the disabled or less able now. Rule number 4, clean up after yourself. She was talking about my toys and paperwork around the floor, but the fact of the matter is simplicity is better, clean is better. In your interface and experiences, you want things to be simple and easy. Here's an example of a user interface that is not easy to understand. It's 2 pieces of information it's trying to show, speed and fuel, but there's a lot of extra lines, circles, points, and markers, and it's very hard to tell what the heck's going on this screen for those 2 pieces of information. Here's the same information, same genre of information. Now there's actually 4 pieces of information, but because it's been cleaned up, it's been designed better, it's been made more simple, Grandma can actually tell that she has no acceleration, no speed, and she's out of gas. So hopefully she's in the driveway, because if she's not, she's in trouble. Simplicity, keep it clean. Lesson number 5, the customer is always right. My other Jewish grandmother was in retail, and this is the golden rule of retail. For developers, it means the user is always right. If something goes wrong, it's not the user's fault. It's the interface's fault. Here's an example of one of the most notorious pieces of bad interface in history. The user is never wrong. If Jewish grandmothers vote for known anti-Semites, the interface is wrong, not the user. This changed history. This was a really bad piece of interface. Here's a less violent one, but equally difficult. This was because accessibility was added after the fact, badly, with color that wasn't necessary. The user is never wrong. If you can't figure out how to get to the 5th floor and whether it's supposed to be red or pink, it's not your fault, it's the interface. Thank you to Kristen Johansson for that image, by the way. Okay, so rule number 6, always wear clean underwear. Now, most of you are probably thinking, I don't really want a user experience in my underwear. That's not what it's about. It just means keep your processes and your code well documented, keep all of your intellectual property correctly acquired. Title. Why? Because something could go wrong. You could have a lawsuit, you could have an insurance claim, somebody might be doing due diligence. You want the stuff behind the scenes and in your underwear to be clean. The other side is positive. Maybe there's going to be a venture capitalist, going to be an acquisition. They're going to do due diligence as well, and you want everything there to be well documented and in place. So make sure everything under the hood is good. Rule number 7, stop staring at that screen and go outside and play. She was talking about a TV screen in my day, watching Mr. Rogers and Mr. Magoo. But the fact is, your developers are sitting in front of the screen, they're in a cubicle, they're not getting out in the real world, they're not experiencing. They're not getting user experiences of their own, they're not seeing the users experiencing. So take them out, take them to the museum, take them to the zoo, take them to the library. Walt Disney understood this. Get them out in the real world, seeing users using and having experiences and having them on their own, and you'll get a better user design. Okay, another rule? I went fast on that one. Okay, moderation in all things. She was really big on moderation. Don't go overboard. So in user experience design, that means not too much of anything, not too little of anything. Audio and video, good, not too much of it. Words, very good, but not too many. Just as much as you need to get the point across and make it work. Moderation in all things. Lesson number 9, chicken soup is good for the body and the soul. Absolutely, that's a given. That's a cardinal rule. But we can't deliver it digitally, so we'll just have to give it to the designers and the developers, not the users yet. But they'll make better work for having it, because basically food is never a bad thing. So you can never go wrong with food. I'd like to thank my grandmother for giving me these basic lessons that could then be applied to user experience design. I'm Charlie Levinson, at Charlie Levinson on Twitter, and with the bit.ly you can find me everywhere else. Thank you very much.